Big Show versus Mankind is the match for the world title. It's a back and forth match. It gets a little hardcore. At one point, they're on the outside. Mick Foley is standing on top of the announce desk, grabs a chair, and swings for the fences.
Yeah.
Brutal. We only have 3 more episodes to review in 1999. It's Tales from the Attitude Era.
Y2K is rearing its ugly head. I wonder what's going to happen.
Y2J is here. Y2K is around the corner.
Yeah.
It's Rob Pasbani here, joined every week by the former head writer of WWF during its peak performance business-wise that only recently has been eclipsed, arguably. You could argue.
This is my peak yes. Performance.
Tommy Blacha's here. Peak chic.
Chic.
Chic and peak.
Original chic. Peak. Yeah. Let's go. Let's get into it.
We're reviewing the Smackdown from December 23rd, 1999. Season 1, episode 18 on Peacock.
That's right. And Dallas. The Sunday Night Heat.
Yes, and the Sunday Night Heat also at the Dallas, Texas Reunion Arena. Although I feel like this week Sunday Night Heat wasn't too eventful, so there's not really...
There's one thing I'll mention. Let's do it now. Just because I want to mention Luna Vachon and Gangrel, that was like a thing I was like pushing for, like, yeah, they're a real life couple. How weird. We should do stuff with them. And then so they had a little piece in that where you could, Sunday Night Heat was that thing like, go do something on Sunday Night Heat and, and kind of work it out and see if it progresses. Other than that, this Sunday Night Heat was all just a clip package. Which is fine because you make the determination from the matches. The studio would be like, oh, let's do all this kind of business or what have you. So there you have it. So rest in peace, Luna Vachon. She was so great, I thought. And I was looking forward to a lot of stuff with her and Gangrel as a, potential thing. We had ideas of like, Luna Vachon always moving in with like Stephanie being like, oh, it's just, like we should double date, et cetera, et cetera. And yeah. But unfortunately, she had some issues and some explosions backstage, and then it was just like she's gone.
Oh, like with her character, like she didn't like how the writing was treating her character.
I know it was more overarching, not to say ill of the dead, like mental health issues. And I'm not speaking out of turn when I think that people knew that, she knew that, and ultimately it was like pretty tragic. If you ever. My God, her story is so unbelievable. I mean, do you know about like apparently the Vachon family, Paul Butcher Vachon apparently was in a hotel and a man committed suicide and then he befriended the woman and the daughter and then adopted them. And it's from the beginning in the Vachon family. You're just like, this is just unreal. So
yeah, there's a really good Dark Side of the Ring about her that kind of goes into the detail about it.
Yeah, it's astonishing.
Yeah. So it was a cool angle. It was like a show-wide angle where Luna tried to convince Godfather to make her a part of his hoe team, saying she would make a great hoe. And my instinct was like, oh, well, Godfather probably thinks she's too freaky. But no, in fact, he thought he liked that kind of freaky. Godfather welcomes all types of hoes. So he let her into the pack, and then she ended up turning on him, spitting blood, which is some red liquid that Michael Cole called to help her real-life husband, Gangrel, get the win.
Yeah, I was looking forward to a lot of stuff with her, but boy, she was so nice and just...
Yeah, I was always such a huge fan of hers. It was sad during the... Dark Side of the Ring, they were interviewing Medusa or Alundra Blaze in WWF, who was the women's champion, and her and Luna had a big feud in the early 90s. And for some reason, Luna really, like, it really meant a lot to Luna to win the women's championship, and she really wanted it, and they wouldn't put it on her. And one night at a house show, Medusa, Alundra Blaze said, "Hey, I'll just take the fall. Like, you beat me. You should be the women's champion. Like, I want you to do this." And she couldn't do it. she was just like, no, they'll be too upset. I don't want that. Yeah. Just so sad.
Yeah. She was actually like she was just so nice. Yeah. She was so different. Just so complicated, amazing life, outrageous character. But,
so let's talk about this SmackDown though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the show starts with a company-wide meeting, very similar to last SmackDown. Last SmackDown started with Triple H running a meeting. This one starts with Mankind starting the meeting. He says, I want to talk about the McMahon-Helmsley Era, he said. I wasn't sure if that's his accent or he was making a pun with error, but he says that this era stinks, which got a bit of a pop. Stinks is a hot term now, I feel. And he goes on to say, look what the McMahon-Helmsley family has done. Matt Hardy has his nose broken. Test has his nose broken. What happened to Mae Young? There's no excuse. It's a travesty. And I love the shot where it's like Mark Henry and Mae Young going like, yeah, that's gross. But then in the foreground, you see Devon Dudley like laughing and smiling like a sicko. Like, yeah, that was great.
Yeah. Just everyone let them be themselves. I was great about that too. Like, we're going to film it. Everyone knows who they are. Go.
Right.
That's
right.
It.
Yeah.
You know,
he then goes on to say the top rope topless match was just an excuse to see Terry and BB's cleavage. All right. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
The best line was he goes, do any of us really need to see the Mean Street Posse 7 times in one episode?
Yeah. Fabulous.
And he goes, I feel the same way you do, the same way that Dee Snider felt so many years ago. Nice Dee Snider shout out to one of his neighbors, one of Foley's neighbors. He goes, we're not going to take it. We're not going to take it. And then the whole roster goes, anymore.
Yeah. All Mick Foley.
Very good. This is a very good speech. And then Stephanie sternly walks in. Her makeup is done a little differently. It's almost like a babyface makeup.
Yep. Well, exactly. Well, one thing I want to know too, I just love that that camera, which came out of just like, okay, the camera's just going to shoot it. We always had, camera guys weren't really setting up shots so much, but it reminds me that this may sound fucking ridiculous, but when you steal that shot in the background of like the Mean Street Posse just going like, what? When they get shit on and then the camera just moves and you see them, reminds me of just like years later, all the mockumentaries like The Office and things that you just catch someone in the background and the camera's moving, and it reminds me of that. It's just like, we would just document it with the camera crew that was there. So that like kind of moving, just catching shit like that, which we talked about yesterday too, the other day about like how things are so set up now. I love that moving camera and just that like catching stuff on the fly like that. It's it just works so well for me. Works great.
I totally agree, especially when Foley made that line about the posse. And the camera just zooms in on them like, whoa, why are we catching strays?
Yeah. And just them looking and everyone's like, I don't know. That stuff works heavily for me. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really good. So then Stephanie comes in and she's very stern. She says this is still a McMahon company. And while she's only been running the company for 2 weeks, she could admit that she made some mistakes. But tonight she's going to fix them. She says this isn't the McMahon-Helmsley era. This is the McMahon era. And I'm going to prove it. I feel like everyone seems to kind of believe her a little too easily, in my opinion. But she says, Test, you're going to take on Road Dogg. Rock, you're going to take on Al Snow. And we know we saw the whole roster attack them last time. So this time it'll be in a steel cage. So you won't have any problems. And Mick, you took a lot of abuse from us. And Mick chimes in, yeah, you slapped me. And Stephanie, I think this was an ad-lib, goes, yeah, you called me a hoe, so you deserved it.
Right.
And he goes, you're going to take on the Big Show in a world championship match. And to prove that I have no allegiances to him, Triple H will be in a shark cage above the ring. And Test, Edge, Christian, and the Hardys will be there. I forgot the term used as like companions or something, to kind of almost as lumberjacks, essentially, to make sure that there's no funny business.
Well, I know you said that in your opinion that it was like that they wouldn't fall for it. But at the same time, remember, we're in the pre-Smart Mark era, sort of, where you can have those feelings. But in my opinion, it's like watching James Bond or horror movies, like, oh, they're going to fall for it again, but they have no choice. It's kind of like, every time how many decades of James Bond were like, oh, really? Why do they have to set up this contraption to kill Bond? And then the fucking Bond villain will leave and just never just put a bullet in his head.
I mean, I basically assumed that much.
Right.
Absolutely. I guess for me, I felt like there was almost like a segment missing between Raw and SmackDown because we never really saw Triple H and Stephanie having some kind of like big blow off argument. That at least I don't remember that we did.
Well, maybe they didn't. It is an odd dysfunctional relationship. Mm-hmm. Maybe he's getting to know like, oh, she's a McMahon. I don't know. I can't trust her or talk about stuff. Or
okay, that's fair.
It's all fluid and it's all strange.
All right.
You know what I mean? And we're kind of feeling like, oh, maybe the thing's ready to fall apart. Maybe she's manipulative. She is from a manipulative family. Oh my goodness, she has learned from the best. So.
Absolutely. That's fair. That's fair. I'll take it. I'll accept it.
Yeah. Lay out anything here. I'll just go to the bullshit meter, which is the foundation of pro wrestling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you go.
We have Chris Jericho versus Hardcore Holly for the IC title. This is Hardcore Holly winning that topless top rope match. This is his prize here. This match against Jericho. Now, again, interesting that in the Observer we read last week that McMahon and Jericho had like a bit of a showdown where McMahon felt that Jericho was playing too much of a face. But yet again, here you position him as the face. Hardcore Holly is much more a heel than Jericho, especially in this match. Hardcore Holly is clearly the heel. And the crowd seems to be getting really behind Jericho. There's some Jerichoholics dressed up as Jericho. I think if you dress up as a wrestler, that means that wrestler is super over. Like that's like 50 signs equal one guy dressing as a wrestler, to take that effort.
Well,
maybe not 50,
I agree.
20.
Except, when I used to go to wrestling as a kid, I was the only one dressed as the missing link. I don't know how old I am. So maybe that's the exception to the rule. Maybe.
Where'd you get all that green paint?
I can't remember.
This was a good back and forth match. These guys are like pillars of the mid card in terms of work rate. So it was nice to see some.
That's a backhanded compliment. Pillars of the mid card.
Well, I mean, look, they're not in the main events.
I wish there was a finger right behind you and it was Hardcore Holly just doing that to you. And
oh, hello, Mr. Hardcore.
Yeah. What did you call me? Oh, I'm into it.
It was a good match, though. I will say, and the clean finish, smart mark in me, a little perturbed. That
I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking of your new book that I can help ghostwrite, which is Pillars of the Mid Card, Most Underrated Wrestlers of eras gone by. Rob Pasbani.
Nice.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go on.
With like Greek arches.
Of course,
yes. Good typography.
Greek ring posts. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like the statuesque wrestlers.
Exactly. Yeah. Pillars of the mid card. Self-published, of course.
Oh yeah. Get it on Amazon.
Yeah.
Crash attacks Jericho as he's about to put Hardcore Holly in the walls of Jericho, and leading to the DQ finish. The attack was right in front of the ref.
The Dairy Queen finish? Oh no, I should have had that sponsorship.
Disqualification finish.
Yeah.
And who runs down but Chyna to a huge pop to save Jericho once again. And the interesting twist here is Jericho is confused, as if to imply that he is not in on Chyna's whatever plan Chyna has here, and nor does he understand what her actions.
Right.
So I feel like this kind of needs to come to a head soon. This has been like 4 episodes of this. I feel like there needs to be a confrontation soon. But also, you still have like 3-4 weeks until Royal Rumble. So what rush are you in?
Sure, exactly.
Yeah. Backstage, the Outlaws are with Triple H, and he is freaking out. And I love that they're doing like the best friend thing of like, she's no good for you. This is trouble.
Yeah.
He just goes, marriage is marriage. This is business. And then this is where the I was giving you a little crap earlier about how did the roster believe Stephanie. I was more willing to suspend disbelief in that segment than the segment I'm about to recap, where I was just like, I can't imagine why he would do this. I can't imagine, but so Stephanie tells Kane
I'm sure I'll have an answer.
Yeah. Stephanie tells Kane that she needs his help after Stephanie has been torturing Kane for the last 3 weeks. She says she needs him to help her. And she says, if he does, Monday, you can have X-Pac in any match you want or any DX member you want. But I need you to make it to Monday. I need you to be by my side. I need you to protect me. And this is like the first also inkling of that Stephanie's still a heel, because she goes like, I can only imagine what X-Pac is doing with Tori. And then she goes into like really vivid detail, like, oh, he must be violating her. He must be blah, 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 blah. I can only imagine. Kane, I need you to help me. And then you can have X-Pac. And Kane just furiously nods like, yes. And so I'm sure what you'll say, if I could predict it.
Sure, predict it.
Is her statements about all the things that X-Pac is doing got him so riled up that all he can think about is how much he wants to kill X-Pac. And this is the only path he sees to get it.
That's definitely part of it. But I think you must also understand maybe your smart markedness is colored by the fact that Kane has gone on to become Kane for, decades and years and is now a mayor, whatever you think of him politically, whatever, but obviously a man that can articulate stuff and be in a suit and tie. This Kane was still the remnants of, we're still treating him like he's kind of a man-child monster. What is he? How much, if you look at Frankenstein's monster, like, well, how much emotions does he have? You know what I mean? He's, perhaps very emotionally immature and easily manipulated as a big, strange monster. And this is his first love interest. So he could be easily confused and swayed. And that's the part you're always playing with, like, oh, this girl manipulated too, especially, okay. You know what I mean? It kind of makes sense if you're not bringing all the post-Kane baggage of what he became, and he's not even talking yet,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So. Okay. That's fair. I will allow it. And I can see that. Like if he has the mind of a 12-year-old,
right.
Then I can see how he could be this easily manipulated. Sure.
Yes. Oh, you will allow it.
I'll allow it. And for the first time in the show,
am I in smart mark court?
Yes. I'm judge, jury, and executioner.
He will get a reprieve. It is allowed.
Overruled. For the first time in the show, Michael Cole questions Stephanie's intentions. Says finally, like 15 minutes of the show, like someone expresses my sentiment of can she be trusted? But then he says, regardless, she's making some great matches.
Right. Yeah.
So I like that. We have Rikishi versus Big Viscera, continuing their mini angle that's been going on for a few episodes. And
Maxi angle, jumbo angle.
Right. Super heavyweight angle.
Yeah.
And I've never noticed Viscera's entrance theme before. I think maybe this is the first time he's gotten a full entrance. Because it's a really good, almost like Dr. Dre G-Funk era beat. It sounds like really good West Coast hip hop.
Maybe it just came up. I don't know. You're right.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of what he had before.
Oh, you know what? Maybe he had like a more like Undertaker-y, like gothy theme before. And now that they're dropping it, they gave him a new one. It is a quick, fun match. Like I have to say, as a kid, I always thought that the heavyweight matches weren't fun. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. This was so fun. Yeah. It was so great to see these two behemoths just beating each other up and doing stiff shots. And Viscera had some good offense here.
Yeah. And you know what else? To always mention that, and even though it's an odd thing, because like a lot of sports, you see hockey or whatever, like live, you're like, oh my God, this is so much better than on TV. A lot of things are like, oh, you see certain things on TV. And still, when you go live, there's still that energy transfers, but there's some things that just are just bigger crowd pleasers live than on TV. So on TV, you do see like, oh, these guys are big or whatever. And it just doesn't have the impact. But live, when you see them in the, they really like, if you have so many matches and then like these huge guys get in, it's like, wow. Like even Andre the Giant, when you would see Andre the Giant live, just walk through, you're like, holy fuck. That has so much more impact. And on TV, sometimes they would protect him because it's like you get so in close and like, his like working style is sometimes clunky because what's he going to do? Actually kill people, But when you just see him live, or something like The Undertaker, when he would just go over the top rope, in that.
That's such a crazy spot.
it's like, oh, that's a crazy spot. Works great on TV. But man, when you're in like the cheap seats in an arena and you see that's one of them that goes like, holy smokes. There's just some that are just like off the charts, Impact Live. And Viscera and Rikishi just in the ring taking bumps. And just that noise live in the arena, because it's that specific gunk, and then it's like bigger. It just, you could just feel the energy go through the crowd for.
That's a great point. That noise that you're talking about of a bump. Like when you hear the mic from under the ring,
right?
It's completely different when you're in the arena. It's so much louder and it's so much more impactful. Like you feel like you're feeling it in your insides.
Yeah, and it's odd because you don't hear the commentary, so you just hear that gunk, and it's just it's very odd. And we're still in that era of like playing to like the live card, as opposed to a
TV tape.
It's starting to like evolve in some ways a bad way, where like people are watching things out of order, or the TV rules, the segment is this, and like you're live and like what's happening a little bit, it wasn't so catered towards that live card, so to speak.
So they had a quick match. Viscera had the advantage for most of the match, and Rikishi had trouble getting Viscera off of his feet. He tried to do his like bulldog finisher and he fell over. Like, it was so funny. He was playing the David to Viscera's Goliath.
Yeah,
here.
Sure. Yeah.
And also, one thing I have to say, I mean, I obviously knew this, but I only really paid attention this time, is Viscera's like wrestling in an overcoat. He's wrestling in like a raincoat. It is customized a little bit so that the front of the raincoat doesn't cover his legs as much.
Yeah.
But I imagine that's got to not be comfortable and like super sweaty.
Yeah. Well, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Big,
you never got a
slick
whiff of Big Vis as he was coming out of a match.
No, actually, no. Surprisingly,
that's actually good. Like,
I mention it.
Like, is there like a funky smell backstage the way you would have in a gym locker room? Anything like that?
Here or there, but not so much as you think. The overriding smell was coconut oil all the time.
Just because everyone's just lubing up.
Everyone's oiling up. And then Viscera had that vinyl thing that I think was kind of shimmied in front. But
right.
Yeah, believe it or not, you wouldn't, everyone says the king of that was Vader. But as far as the stinkiness, but
of the scent, of the bad scent, is that?
Yeah, I would say you'd have caught a couple Mick Foley whiffs here and there that weren't too pleasant,
a little spicy.
But I would say generally much better than you'd think.
Okay, all right, I'll accept it. I'll allow it. Eventually, Rikishi knocks down Viscera, and Viscera is in perfect position for a bonsai drop. Good finish, really good quick match to continue getting Rikishi over as a babyface monster. I really liked it. And really,
also just, who the fuck's 400 pounds and can run and is athletic? That's fucking terrifying.
Yeah, it's crazy because like he's put on this weight, but he feels like he has the same stamina as he did 10 years prior.
Well, he has such a unique physique, put it that way.
Yeah.
Where he's got that, that massive ass, but he's got those knees and those ankles that can handle it. It oddly doesn't seem outrageously unnatural for him to have that huge ass and be 400 pounds.
Yeah.
And then when you see him, like the athletic things he can do, you're just like, oh, dear Lord.
That's a good point. Terrifying. Like, he is really fast for a guy that size.
Absolutely. I can imagine just an NFL football coach going like, get that guy into a training camp. He's never played football. I don't give a fuck. He can just clog the middle. Just have him try to be a nose tackle. Like, can't move him. He's got, you know what I mean? Just like, he's athletic. He looks tough. Fuck. I wonder if you ever got an approach by someone or something. I mean, I'm being completely serious.
Maybe he played.
Just based on the eyeball test, I can see a coach being like, it's worth a fucking try. Right?
Yeah.
It's gracious. Yeah.
The biggest pop of the match was absolutely for Too Cool coming down to entice Rikishi to dance. I love the whole little dance that they do of like Rikishi exits the ring and they're like, no.
Yeah.
The people want to dance.
Do it again. Yeah.
Do the dance. And here's
I know. I love when those things become these pantomime cliches. And then it's like, okay, well, I'm leaving. Hold on. What? No. It's not time yet. You need to come back and dance. Me? Yeah. It's all like, it's all, all that training, even, a ref Like I saw you pull the hair.
Yeah.
I didn't pull his hair. You're crazy.
I felt like Hulk Hogan was the king of that with the pantomime, like to get the crowd to really react. Like with the Hebners, like, was it him? Was it? What do you guys think?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Those big facials, that eye. Yeah. He did about 7 things and they all were just like, home runs.
Backstage, Stephanie and Kane, her new bodyguard, are with Test. And Test says this is really awkward. And he doesn't know if he can trust Stephanie. She says it's awkward for her too, but it's still her company. And Test will see she's serious next because that's his match against Road Dogg, where no members of DX are allowed at ringside. Jonathan Coachman is introduced. This is his first segment on SmackDown. And I believe his first segment with The Rock. These two become a little inseparable later on, as Coachman proves to be quite a punching bag for the Brahma Bull. Rock is just so over in Dallas, Texas. Like, his pop seems to be getting bigger and bigger the more Austin stays away.
It's crazy. Like we talked before, there's actually quite literally different pops. There's the Rock's pop. It's a little like, ooh. And then there's the Rikishi dance pop.
It's
like you can, and there, but you could argue like if you rank them, like, the Rocks were bigger, but just like different pops. It's amazing. It was an amazing time like that.
He says that he might have gotten beaten that it took 3 jabronis to beat him on Raw, but this is different. This is SmackDown. This is the Rock show. As soon as he said that, huge Rocky chant, the crowd is just totally behind him. And so that's the promo. We get Test versus Road Dogg. And I have to say, as someone that has been complaining about Test looking like a herb, this is the first time in weeks that I will say Test did not look like a herb.
Right.
Finally, Test showing aggressiveness and fire and like anger and needs revenge. And I like that he dominated the match. Test needed this match like a week ago, but finally he gets it, and he dominates most of the match. Eventually, he takes his face mask off and uses it as a weapon, and then gives Road Dogg the pump handle slam. Does a huge elbow drop from the top rope that looked beautiful, and he gets the win. What's even more shocking than him getting the win is there was a huge pop for him getting the win. And I feel like I almost had to eat crow a little bit because it seemed like making him look like a herb kind of worked to get him over. Like the crowd wants to see him finally get this revenge.
Sure. I accept your apology.
Yeah, I will. This smart Mark didn't know what he was talking about. And even better, I thought that not only did he get the win, that almost didn't mean anything to him. He needed more vengeance. He ran to get a chair and tried to attack Road Dogg, and the ref grabs it from him, and he still beats up Road Dogg, and the crowd is so behind him, and they're like, "Yeah, you deserve this. The way they've been treating you wrong." And they fight to the back. And
he was amazing too. He's amazing too. He's a huge, huge guy. If he weren't in the land of the giants of WWF at the time, Big Show, Undertaker, etc. I mean, he's,
Yeah, I really underrated him at the time. I remember when ECW got relaunched with WWE, he was like one of the central people they were pushing. And I was like, why? But now I understand why.
Yeah, it was a whole issue. Yeah, there. But he had the look. It was like, I would always like joke with Edge. It's like, it's like Test is like you, but
eating the Mario mushroom. Yeah,
just like,
I'm sure he loved to hear that.
I saw him. It was all in good humor. I saw Test. Andrew was dating Stacy Keibler.
Yeah,
and it was after a show. I had stopped working for wrestling, but I went back to one of the shows, probably 2000, 2001, and was in a sushi restaurant in LA, and they came in and it was hilarious. And I said hi and everything, but like the whole fucking restaurant stopped when those two like walked in, and just like, it was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Thor and his queen are here, to get a table. It was just like the whole place just like, I mean, like, Everyone just stopped eating and like, holy fuck, look at those fucking two. Jesus, what kind of kids are they going to have? My God.
Yeah, I imagine it's hard to miss test. And then on top of that, you have Stacy, who's
it was just it was ridiculous. Half the guys in the restaurant just immediately felt like shit about themselves. Like, oh fuck. Oh, I'm out on a date. I'm trying to impress this. Oh Jesus, fuck! Look at this guy. What the fuck? Yeah, it was hilarious. Just that. Anyways,
backstage, Triple H says to Billy Gunn that this is too much and he can't take it anymore, and he's going to confront Stephanie McMahon.
I can't take it anymore.
Enough is enough. It's time for a change. After the break, DX storms into Stephanie's room. Kane goes to attack, and Stephanie holds him back. She says, hold on, Kane. You can have Billy Gunn tonight in a match. And Triple H says, we need to talk. He admits he made some mistakes. He abused his power a little too much. And I like this because this is answering the question I had before. Like, when did they have this fight? Like, what are they fighting over? And I guess this is the fight that, like, she thinks he's taking advantage of her and the power that she provides.
Yeah. Well, it's when you really follow the logic, it's like, ooh, it's sticky. It's like, ooh, he manipulated and he's, in the power position. But wait a minute, is he? She's the one. Yeah, there's plenty of like strange subtext you could go in ad nauseum.
She says this isn't personal. She notes how the sex is great, which I'm sure Chyna loved to hear that in that moment. And she goes, but this is business. This is no longer the McMahon-Helmsley era. It's the McMahon era, and you're going to have to deal with that. Triple H says you can't put him in a cage. And Stephanie says, you're right. There's nothing I can do, but this enforcement can do it. And Triple H says, I'm not going anywhere. The cops then grab him and escort him out.
Power. He's got the cops bought off.
It's Edge versus Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle does just his typical promo at this point, nothing standing out. Kind of insults Dallas's intelligence. Very fun back and forth match. This, I think, is basically Kurt Angle's best match in WWF.
I think I'm going to have to time you out there. I remember something, and I don't know if he did it, but we're flirting with some kind of JFK Dallas thing that Angle said. It was something about like somehow blaming Dallas for Kennedy's assassination or something. And it was one of those like, oh, we're not going to do that, or it was edited out. I'll have to get with words on that if you remember.
That's interesting because I did feel, I was like, oh, there's no meat to this promo. It's just, there
may have been something that was pretty meaty that was edited out.
Okay.
I'll get back to you on that.
All right.
I know you've watched this podcast for insight, and that's half insight, but I'll try to remember that more, or get with Gewurz and be like, what happened there? But because I definitely thought there was something like that.
But yeah, so this was great back and forth match. Eventually, ref gets knocked down. Blackman comes out like he did on Raw, and Edge is pushing Angle towards the ropes. Angle ducks. Blackman smacks Edge in the face with the kendo stick. This allows Angle to do his Angle slam, get the victory, the celebration. The announcers are questioning, was the kendo stick still meant for Edge, or did he mean to hit Kurt Angle? Backstage, Stephanie's immediately grilling Blackman, and he starts telling her that she told him last Monday, and she interrupts, that was Monday, this is Thursday. You stay out of Kurt Angle's business. That's my business.
Nice.
Further planting these seeds. Backstage, Al Snow doesn't understand why he's not the number one contender. He just beat The Rock, and he felt like that should be enough where he should get the title shot. Instead, Mick Foley's getting the title shot. Is there some politics going on here, he asks. She says that Snow will get a title shot on Monday if he beats The Rock tonight. Snow says that he will. Then we have Al Snow versus The Rock in a steel cage match. Now, here's something I want to mention. This is like the fourth steel cage match you've had in 3 weeks. And in general, I feel like you're kind of using gimmick matches as a little bit of a crutch. Like, I said it. Do you feel like is there any fear or concern that you're devaluing these matches by just presenting them so willy-nilly?
Well, I would have you look up the ratings for these shows. And remove words like fear and willy-nilly from your vocabulary, sir. Kind sir. What can you say? You know what? Sometimes, like I said, the booking is so fast and furious that sometimes it's like just when a steel cage is invoked, then maybe it's just as like, oh, it's invoked. It just becomes a motif for a bit until someone kind of maybe says something like you said, but there wasn't enough time. It would be more just like, it's a lot of steel cage matches, isn't it? Yeah, let's ace them for a bit. So, I don't think that there was anything like, now we're bringing the steel cage. Frankly, when the guys like set it up and the crew gets going, and sometimes like, oh yeah, we'll have another one. You know what I mean? Just because it becomes, something in your mind to go to as far as booking. And also if it's, frankly, everything is like, right, another steel cage match. But it made sense because just the rope match, Al Snow, this one may have made more sense than the other ones, whatever, but it's in your mind and it just, and
also
did it.
You didn't have too many repeat matches in this time. And when you did, you had to have a new angle for it, like a new twist.
Sure.
So I think because this is like the third or fourth time Rock and Al Snow are wrestling, you felt maybe you needed something a little jazz it up.
And also on the heels of the last rope match, it just seemed kind of like, no, go back to a regular match in this. It just...
Right, you have to keep escalating it. Yeah.
Once you start gimmicking, you can't stop gimmicking.
That's fair. I guess this was more warranted than the strap match. Like the strap match felt out of nowhere. Whereas this, it's like, okay, you want to keep people out. There was interference. There's a little more logic to why this is the cage match.
Don't tell me you're a gimmick warranted match smart mark too.
Oh no, I've been revealed.
Yeah. That's your new club you're starting, the gimmick warranted smart mark. I don't mind the gimmick match warranted smart mark. I don't mind a gimmick match as long as it's warranted.
What's the story here? What's the story?
Yeah. Oh fuck. Yeah.
The crowd is super hot. They do use the cage as part of the match. Like Al Snow almost escapes out of the cage. The Rock grabs him, pulls him into the cage. They do a huge back suplex.
Further warranting the gimmick.
Yes. They didn't just waste the cage gimmick here. I will give them that.
I'm going to do my best Pat Patterson. Don't waste the cage. These match out here, they're wasting the cage. All right.
Rock wins with a people's elbow, and so no title shot for Al Snow on Monday. Sorry, Al Snow.
Clean finish.
This was a clean finish, yes, and no interference.
This was a clean finish inside of an entirely warranted gimmick match. I hope you're happy.
I am. I love this next segment. Ivory's riling up the women backstage. She said she found plans for them to build a pool. Like, look at this, a pool for pudding matches, for whatever, gravy matches, whatever they want. She said something has to do something about this and save the women's division.
Yeah.
Finally, Ivory speaking up for me, the viewer.
Yeah. There you go.
And Ivory comes out, cuts a fantastic promo.
Yeah.
So good, like so real and like logical. And it almost... It doesn't excuse the terrible matches that you've been booking the women in, but it definitely provides so much more context for it. That at least the women are within the kayfabe. The women are being held against their will here. Like they're being forced into these things by this corrupt middle management.
Sure. And America.
Yeah, and America. Well, frankly. Yeah, well, absolutely. Because it's so funny because I feel like if Ivory cut this promo today, it would be a face promo. But in 1999, it's a heel promo.
Well, I would argue it's a tweener promo.
Tweener promo. All right. No. She comes out and she says she's tired of talking about these, pointing to to her.
Although there is some elements, because when you are like kind of mapping out some of these promos, you do want to throw those things out there. Where it's one of my favorite things about wrestling is like if a heel comes out, like Vince McMahon would do this perfectly. If he was degraded the week before, he comes out and then he explains to everyone how I was degraded step by step. And so people will, ha, ha, boo, which, you'd never do, which is so funny. So in Ivory's case, you'd want to put in things too, like, and they have us here taking our tops off so people could, take your tops. So it is kind of a heel. There is some heel elements to it, but it's interesting. But yeah, you're right.
So she said what Miss Kitty did at Armageddon, and she kept calling her Miss Kitty instead of the cat. What Miss Kitty did at Armageddon was shameful. This next line I love. This is sports entertainment, not adult entertainment. She says she's worked way too hard to bring respect to this division. She's the class and dignity champion. Miss Kitty is just wiping her smut all over it.
Yeah. Good.
Ivory is the women's wrestling champion. Miss Kitty, you come out here and let's wrestle. Any stipulation you want, as long as we're here in the wrestling ring and we're wrestling. The cat comes out with Chyna. It looks almost as she's coming out against her will, but Chyna's encouraging her. She's like, no, do this. Go ahead, go. And Kat says she'd agree if Ivory agrees to a no DQ, no countout match. Ivory agrees. All of a sudden, the cat just gets out of the ring. Chyna gets in the ring. Crowd is popping huge. Chyna just destroys Ivory in like 5 seconds. Like punches her, slams her, gives her the pedigree. Calls Kat back in the ring. Kat gets the pinfall victory. Again, I feel like this is heel behavior.
Of course.
For faces, like the crowd loved it though. Like the crowd is popping. They're behind it. They don't want to see the women wrestle. They want to see adult entertainment.
Well, it's good. And heel behavior, what have you, and remember previous Vince McMahon was saying, maybe he's saying this heel babyface business is passe.
Yeah.
People are complicated, so yeah.
Absolutely.
I liked it a lot just because it was, anytime, my goodness, 100-year history of wrestling and the relationship with TV, that you put something like, well, I've never quite seen that play out like that before. Really.
Yeah.
It's pretty unique. And
no, I thought this was a very fun segment, and I liked how you worked it. And I like this Chyna Kitty relationship too. It's very nice.
Yeah. It
very
odd.
The Bechdel test.
It's kind of like, it's like they're like cartoon characters in this sort of a post-apocalyptic BDSM world.
The posse's backstage with Kaientai, offering some racist advice, telling them to relax and calling them Chinese. And they're like, whoa, we're Japanese. But they're giving them advice on their tag team match up next. It's Christian and Jeff Hardy teaming up, which is cool, against Kaientai. The posse escorts Kaientai to the ring. I think this might be the first time maybe the second time we're seeing Kaientai on the main shows. Mm-hmm. There was a little miscommunication at some point between Jeff and Christian, but eventually they get it together. Christian hits the Unprettier. Jeff does a senton bomb. 1, 2, 3. They win the match. After, the posse yells at Kaientai, they ruined it. You saw it, blah, blah, blah. And then they turn around and Kaientai drop kick them halfway across the ring. The crowd get excited. Kaientai run off.
Well, the posse's establishing themselves as, in this world of tweeners or whatever, people that the people love to see them take bumps and get beaten
absolutely.
Which as we talk like that, that's great. You know what I mean?
That is a role on the show.
Absolutely. And in pro wrestling, like people, that's heel work,
Yeah.
People love to see you get fucked up. That's great. Fortunately, you are on the accelerated dues payment program, in which that is how everything's booked. How can we get them to, at least this was just a drop kick. It wasn't, oh no, the acolytes. Ring.
Yeah. Yeah, this was an easy day for the posse this week.
Yeah.
Comparatively. Then we have Kane versus Billy Gunn. Match was like 3 minutes long. I'm guessing you guys might have been running long here and needed to cut something because it was very abbreviated.
Well,
Bing, bang,
I can't
boom.
remember. Well, we got to remember SmackDown could be edited too. So
True.
I don't
Fair
know
point.
if this match was internally edited or, generally so when you had Monday Night Raw, you'd stick to the times. And that was
Right.
like I've said before, like these guys were amazing to be like, okay, you got 5 minutes for your match. Oh shit. Now it's fucking 3 minutes. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
SmackDown was a lot looser. You definitely had TV times and stuff, but and you tend to want to stick to them, but it was, it wasn't like a house show. They go like longer, but it could have been edited.
Yeah, so Kane wins with a choke slam after Kane attacks Billy Gunn, and Triple H is in his locker room wanting to leave to help, but the cops outside of the locker room refuse to allow it. You're really setting up this house arrest thing for Triple H.
Yeah. No judge, no
Yes.
no arraignment.
Yeah.
just
paying off some cops.
just house arrest.
Kane continues his assault. They're backstage. Road Dogg tries to help, but Kane chokes him. Road Dogg completely pisses his pants and says he knows where X-Pac and Tori are. If Kane doesn't hurt them, Road Dogg will tell him. They're at the Airport Marriott, which is like, all right.
Nothing good happens at the Airport Marriott.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely not. No, it's the worst Marriott.
Unless maybe some criminals are divvying up some loot or something like that. Maybe that's a good thing that could happen there. I digress, but we go on.
Mark Henry comes out with the fabulous Moolah and Mae Young, his new girlfriend, Mae Young. He has a new poem for Mae. And is this also written by Mark Henry? Is he writing all these poems?
Yeah, he wrote them all.
This poem is, we played once or twice, which is truly nice. I'm so happy to have you in my life. All the hot nights that we've spent since our first date makes me so proud to be in my home state. And she was so appreciative. She hugged him and gave him a kiss on the cheek. Bubba comes out, does a great heel promo, calls Mark a dumb Olympic failure. No stuttering here. Says, Mae, you're too old, wrinkly, and you smell like a bedpan at the old folks' home. He goes after the Dallas fans. Big heat from the crowd.
Yeah.
Lawler says, I've heard of a cradle robber, but Mark is a cemetery robber. Bubba tries to set up Mark for the what's up. Devon gets on the top rope. Keep in mind this is a singles match, but Mae protects her man. She shakes the ropes and Devon crutches himself. And Mark Henry gets the win with the assist from Moolah and Mae. They all celebrate. It's time for the main event. Triple H says he's not going to go. The cops drag him out against his will. He gets locked in the shark cage in the middle of the ring. 2 separate cages here tonight. A lot of production cues.
Yeah. Well, the shark cage it is a cage. Oh, yeah, you're right. But it doesn't have.
No, the shark cage has to be hanging from the rafters. That seems like a bigger thing. Whereas I think the regular cage, it wasn't hanging at the time. I didn't see it in the arena hanging. I think it was constructed.
Yeah, it goes up. Yeah.
Either way.
I don't know what's. Yeah.
I'm always so fascinated by that stuff about the pulleys and all that, because
you want to be a rigger.
No. I'm just fascinated by it. I don't want to do it. I just respect the people that do it.
Yeah. Just go and you'll be like, so how do you put that up there? Yeah, it's a pulley and then it's tied off. Yeah, no longer fascinated.
Yeah. They're like, you want to do it? No. You go ahead. I'll watch.
No, those crews were amazing. I mean, they're just like, I'm sure they're a lot of just like a huge rock band, just like putting the stuff up and then like taking it down, and getting in the trucks next city like crazy. The pyro guys were always funny. They didn't say much, and there was like 2 of them, and it was always comical because no one would fuck with the pyro guys, or even they just seemed to be like, there they are. But sometimes if you would be like underneath the stage or somewhere, because there's all these different kinds of pyro, sometimes you'd be like right next to a canister of like, oh fuck, if that goes off. But that's so-and-so's pyro. And, Kane's were out on the ring post. But point being, so these just 2 quiet guys are in there like little, almost look like a mixing board to the side, like always like running the pyro. So they were almost like, no one fuck with them. Make sure everything's right. They fuck up, it's bad news. And, you kind of felt like if the wrong pyro went off and I'm down, fuck, there goes my head. And I'm sure there's been times where people have been out there like, oh shit, I forgot Kane's fucking thing or what have you. But they were always just these 2 competent, kind of stoner looking guys that were just like, oh, there's the pyro guys. I always got a kick out of them. That's what I was fascinated by.
I'd hang out with the Pyro guys for sure.
Yeah.
So Triple H gets locked into the cage. Big Show versus Mankind is the match for the world title. Test, Edge, Christian, and the Hardys are down there as kind of lumberjacks. It's a back and forth match. It gets a little hardcore. At one point, they're on the outside. Mick Foley is on top, standing on top of the announce desk, grabs a chair, and swings for the fences with a huge, painful-looking chair shot, spiking Big Show's head.
Yeah.
Brutal.
Oof. Yeah.
Sacco is out. Mankind almost has the win, but they both spill to the outside. As that happens, suddenly the cage is lowered. The heels come out and they attack Test, Edge, and the Hardys. These are just random heels, like not random, but like not the Outlaws, like Kurt Angle, people like that. Then Triple H tries to get out of the cell. Stephanie gets in the ring, tries to stop him, but Triple H gets out. Mankind is about to attack Triple H, but Triple H uses Stephanie as a shield. What a coward. He says, you can't hit a woman. And as Mankind's getting closer, it is Stephanie who low blows Mankind. Then Triple H attacks Mankind with a chain. Outlaws attack Big Show. They completely destroy Mankind. And Stephanie and Triple H embrace. Michael Cole is shocked. We've been had.
Yep, we've been had.
The show closes with the two of them embracing and Triple H saying, it's the joyous season and we only have 2 words for you. Merry Christmas. Oh.
Well, that chair shot, like it was a little different than, remember we said the other chair shot, if it was a comic book, it would say CAC.
Yes.
Like this one would say like KER-DOOZE, Kerdooge. I think that one was just like a bigger, it wasn't like that CAC. It was
Kerdooge. Yeah.
Kerdooge. Yeah.
I feel like when the chair is just hanging off your neck,
yeah,
that's like next level.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. I guess, the only thing I would like to mention too about all this is still remember, this is Stephanie McMahon's coming out party and it's like working so well. You just kind of imagine like it wasn't even like a previous month, 2. She's like, oh, I don't know. I'm getting married. What am I? And then now she's got the good facials. She's sinister. She's going to
she's
the next
figured
level,
it all out.
but she's still like a young woman and she's part of the, it's really like, that's kind of even as you go, Vince is kind of like, oh, I don't need to be there now. Let this play out a little. So you still have these trump cards, so to speak. So she's really working. No. Trump card, damn it. These, trump cards. Not associated with Trump.
No. Absolutely. She is holding her own. It is very impressive how quickly she's picking up on all of this. This is not her first time in front of the mic, but really her first time with like any substantial material to work with.
Yeah. And it's getting into the point like, okay, you got to, give someone a between the legs shot. You got to do this, and then like the big moments, like then we cut to her and she's got that wicked smile with her Santa Claus hat and she's, it's working very well.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, everything is firing on all cylinders right now. All the stories are so well put together and the advancement. I feel like this episode was kind of like you guys are, Christmas is in a few days. Let's just get through this. There wasn't really too much advancement here.
There's always some of that, but yet it was still fun and still worked. But,
it was a stop. And like if I could put my clean finished Smart Mark hat on or just my annoying Smart Mark hat on. This finish is like, it was so overdone, I think, in this era, and mostly by WCW, I want to say, not so much by WWE, of that like, oh, a bad guy's like, no, I'm good now. This episode, I'm good. Trust me. And then like the moment they have the face trusts them and has the match, the bad guy just turns on them. Like in WCW, it just got to the point where there was just no heat for it, whereas this is the first time I feel like you've pulled this card in this angle. So you still have the benefit of the doubt here. But I will say that like, I'm sure if I was, 14-year-old Rob watching this was like, oh, there's no way that Stephanie's a good guy now. She's turning on Mankind at the end of the show.
Right. And also I think it's a little bit better that it's a sweet young woman doing it. It's like, you can fall prey to that easier, or just, that constant manipulation than a seasoned, weird, wrestler who's used to going to both sides. You know what I mean? It just seems to be a little easier. So it's like Lucy in the football, the old Charlie Brown. Not again,
I'm very excited. And it looks like the calendar was in your favor because Christmas, it seems, is over the weekend. So you actually do get Christmas off and then come back, I guess, on the 27th.
Right.
To Raw. That's got to be a brutal travel week, the week between Christmas and New Year's.
I would never, ever complain about travel, seeing when these guys were running, while
yes.
My travel was always like, depending on if there was a pay-per-view, it was either like Sunday. So it was 3 cities a week, up early doing all this stuff. But these guys were jamming in other house shows too. So their stuff was so brutal. You just had like I couldn't complain whatsoever as far as like the TV travel was like.
I was saying for the wrestlers, it was brutal.
Oh, dear Lord. And some of their shit is just like.
I hope there wasn't a Christmas house show.
Yeah.
I hope not, but who knows?
Who knows? Probably not, but you never know. And also like, man, and even these guys would talk about the other, the other old school stuff where people were like, wrestling, 320 times a year.
Yeah. 7 days a week, twice on Sunday.
Yeah. Just like, preposterous, or some of them like 21 straight days, and just like, just crazy shit.
One more thing I want to mention on how hot WWE is that there is a special advertised during Sunday Night Heat for New Year's Eve called Eve of Destruction.
Oh, that's right.
It's like a 90-minute special.
Right.
And I think it was just a mixtape of like crazy spots from the past year. Like you showed like the Hell in the Cell,
right,
Foley and all that stuff. And that's just how hot WWE was, that USA Network came to them and were like, hey, we have no New Year's programming. Do you want to put together a mixtape for an hour and a half and we'll throw you some cash and we'll promote it?
Yeah. And also there's the gray area of like, so if you put together like a clip show on TV, whether it's like The Tonight Show or Seinfeld or whatever, all the union rules are like, ooh, which directors love it because you have to pay everyone in there. So if you put together a clip show of 17 shows of Seinfeld or whatever, it might be cheaper because there's no production costs. But at the same time, it's like you got to pay the individual DGA directors, their residuals and all this kind of shit. But for this, I'm sure it was like, you got it,
Yeah.
like,
I didn't even know that.
Sure. I'm sure, and all kinds of stuff like that. And what a machine. So I'm sure USA is like, oh, that basically, who knows what the money was for that, but I'm sure, I would guess that it just went right in the WWF.
And I'll definitely look up the rating for it after it passes, like in the Observer when it shows up, because I'm sure it probably did a crazy numbers. I remember watching it. Because I didn't have
and a precursor to all this kind of like, like you see in the Monday Night Heats or whatever, like, oh, let's retell the story. Montages were great, bringing people up to date. But obviously it's all antiquated now because like, oh, I can go on YouTube and look in the
montages
numbers.
Are on TikTok now, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that was huge, and that was like a big part of it. So like for like this Sunday Night Heat was like 30. Half of it was montages of bringing up to date, but also that the studio was so good that, the guys and gals at the studio did it all in different ways. It wasn't just like it
wasn't just a montage. Like you get something out of it. Even if you've seen the footage in the montage, there is a creativity to the montage where it feels like its own piece.
Absolutely. The editing, different motifs, all different kinds of stuff they do. And that's why, like, people at the studio, we'd often look like, oh yeah, that's great. That's cool. And, so that was often fun for, you, when you're home waiting for your, I guess TiVo was getting to be around, but if you're just waiting for, I got to watch Jacked to check up and see that, that bump again, unless I'm taping it on a VCR, which is 10% or whatever. But yeah,
there was a cool recap on Heat as well of Lawler at the Man on the Moon premiere, which I thought WWE was also very good at.
Yeah.
Getting publicity for when their stars get publicity.
Oh, they were huge. In fact, other like entities, whatever, USA or whatever, I remember going and, oh, sure. Not only that, we'll edit it and we've got a studio. You know what I mean? We can do this far beyond your capabilities, to all kinds of entities that were super impressed. So,
and you have these A-list stars like Jim Carrey putting over Jerry Lawler. Like, why wouldn't they want that footage on their program?
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, folks, we've done it again.
We did it again.
It's done. As always, if you enjoy the show, you can help us out by leaving a rating on your podcast platform of choice or liking the video on YouTube.
What other show caters to not only clean finish smart marks, but also, what was it again? Fucking warranty, gimmick warranted match smart marks, right? Was that it?
Warranted, yes.
Warranted. Gimmick warranted.
Yes.
Gimmick match warranted smart marks. I think that's it. GMWSMs. Are you a GMWSM?
Leave a comment with that. We'll take a tally.
Yeah. Even if it's what the fuck is this idiot talking about? That's a valid comment.
Yes, please. We read them all. And of course, you can follow us on social media. TFT Attitude Era is the handle on Instagram, on Twitter, on TikTok. And talesfromtheattitudeera.com is the website with all the links to past episodes and get subscribe links. Thank you for tuning in. We will be back next week. Dark Sheik, the Sheik will be here, not Dark Sheik. The Sheik,
Dark Sheik
will be here.
Ooh,
Dark Sheik
is a good gimmick.
Oh, well, that is a gimmick already.
Is there a gimmick? Fuck.
Yes,
everything's a gimmick. God damn it! All right, bye everybody.
See you next time on Tales from the Attitude Era.